My name is Liz, the voice behind the hands, I guess, of Heretic Tarot. And I'm like, where am I looking? Here we go. Hello. I keep feeling this urge to get on here and show my face, and I don't know why that is. Why would I do that? I don't know. Um, but here I am. So when, so this urge started kind of coming to me, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what would I even do? Like, the thought of actually doing a tarot reading by like showing my face like this, no. So my other thought, and part of that is because I'm like, you'll probably notice this at some point, but I cannot hold a focus to like this little, camera lens. I look all over the place. I usually, when I'm sitting here doing tarot readings, I'm looking outside. I'm staring at trees. I'm watching birds. Like, um, so I don't know. It's like, do I can't imagine um, showing my face when I'm not even looking at, the camera because I can't hold my focus there. So I don't know. Anyway, when I kind of started thinking about like, well, what would I do? Because just wanting to honor that urge, that feeling, because it does feel good. But I was like, okay, well, what would I do instead? So then I thought, well, maybe I'll just kind of get on and like introduce myself and give some little tidbits about me. Because I don't know, have I ever really done that? I have no clue. I don't remember. But um, also too, just to say that I realized that I was a bit inconsistent last year as far as posting videos and when I was posting videos and how often, whatever. And I don't know how much of that is going to change, but I do want to make it a priority again because I really do enjoy doing this. I love I love tarot readings. I love giving them. I love receiving them. I love watching them. So, but part of the reason, and actually the actual reason why I was so inconsistent with that last year is because I felt like I was dying. Not to be dramatic, but I was basically operating at like my lowest setting, like basic survival, really. And come to find out, I was actually diagnosed with severe sleep apnea, which I believe that I've actually been suffering from since high school, which was a long time ago. But I was really relieved, though, to receive that diagnosis because also there was already like a path of treatment available, and it was then waiting for that because, of course, that took a lifetime to finally come around. But I've been on CPAP treatment since the beginning of January, actually, and I feel like a completely different person. I mean, I feel alive, which feels good. I feel rested. I feel present. It just, what a difference it makes. So I'm also convinced that everybody has sleep apnea. So if you have access to it, highly recommend a sleep study because, man, the power of sleep, right? So, anyway, I'm very excited to do my first set of videos after being on treatment for a month. I guess today would be a month. Today is February 5th. I have no clue when I'm actually going to start the actual tarot readings. I don't think I'm going to do that today, probably tomorrow. But anyway, um I'm excited. I mean, maybe nothing will change. I don't know. Maybe some things will. We'll see how it goes. But how exciting is that? It's exciting for me anyway. I also might like I don't really have this set up to do the, like the my table and me, but I might see if I can finagle something and just try it. Just, have like the camera on the table and then have like a little overlay of me in the corner. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If you don't see me up there, I didn't figure it out because I'm not super tech savvy in that type of way, but maybe eventually a solution for that will come up. But otherwise, just a little bit about me because I did kind of decide that I was making this an introduction type of thing, but I can't give you too much information because the more I remain mysterious, the better. And that is because I'm a 5/1 human design profile, manifesting generator, emotional authority. And with that 5/1 profile, the whole familiarity breeds contempt. Did you, if you heard Taylor Swift's song Bejeweled, she says that in there. She's a 5/1 also. So I'm like, there's no doubt somebody gave her a human design reading somewhere down the road, right? Or she could have just Googled her own chart. But anyway, so yeah, the more I remain mysterious and behind the projection of the fifth line, as long as it's a positive projection, right? Because on the other side of that is being burned at the stake. But anyway, so 5/1 manifesting generator, emotional authority, left angle cross of uncertainty. I have a lot of gates in uncertainty gates, so I'm never sure about shit. But even, like as far as like putting my face out here, right? Like part of me, like I feel like there is kind of this like evolution, just there's some sort of change I feel as far as either the way that I present videos or the way that I do them. And part of me, like a big part of me wants to wait until I figure that out. I don't know if that's my Virgo moon. I don't know what that is, but the other part of me is like, no, I mean, like we figure it out by trying, right? So you kind of like push through the uncertainty and eventually certainty shows up. So we'll see what happens. But I'm a Cancer rising, if you can't tell by my super round face. I'm also a Cancer Venus. And like I said, Virgo moon, Taurus sun. And what else? I am clearly into plants, if you can't tell. I also sell plants. I have a plant stand at a coffee shop in downtown Colorado Springs. So if you're ever in the area, check out the Perk downtown. I have my plants in there. I absolutely love it. It's so fun, but my house looks like a jungle because it's also my greenhouse. It's where I keep my property for that business. And I am attuned to Reiki master level. And before every reading, I set the intention for the message to come through me, not from me. I clear the space. I also get consent from every deck that I use in every reading. I have consent from it to use it for all 12 readings. And the way that I do that is usually there's a deck that just kind of like pops up in my mind. And I'll shuffle that deck until a card comes out. And if it's a general positive card, I take that as a yes. If it's a general negative, quote unquote, card, then I take that as a no and I'll try a different deck. I do that for all my readings, personal readings, if I'm doing an event, obviously YouTube, Instagram, which I've also been super inconsistent with and want to get back on to posting daily readings on there. But anyway, I get consent every time from the decks that I use to use them for the readings. And is there anything else? I realize like how long this actually is, and now I'm like, shut up. So is there anything else I want to tell you for now? Because I just lost my train of thought. I don't know. That's it. I'm so glad that you're here. If you watch this whole thing, thank you. Follow me on Instagram for daily readings eventually, if you care about those. And last thing I'll say is that I do my readings based on human design profile, and you don't have to know your human design profile or anything about human design in order for the message to be for you. I mean, if anything, you would have to know your human design profile, I guess, right? But you don't even have to know anything else about it. You don't have to know anything about human design. I don't generally go into very heavy human design terms. I might talk about strategy and authority sometimes, but the message is still the message for you, even if you have no clue about human design. And if you don't have any clue about human design, I'm happy that I introduced you to it, because it unlocked some stuff for me that was pivotal in my healing and self, acceptance and love journey. So anyway, I think that's all that I'll say for now. If there's anything else that I'm missing, I'll just say it in the video. And I'll see you later. Bye. Hello again. I can't even tell you how many times I've said, like in previous readings, that I can't not say hello at the beginning of a reading. So anyway, like many hellos. I feel like I've repeated that so many times, but I've said it at the beginning of a handful of readings so far. And at one point I'm like, it's going to click in my head to say something else, right? It hasn't yet. Anyway, this is a reading for the 5-2. My conscious fifth line baddies. I just did the 5-1 this morning, and I was chatty. So I apologize in advance that was happening too. For being as chatty as I feel. I'm like, words are not coming out properly or whatever. So, get comfy. Today I'm okay. I am recording this on February 9th, and there's that new moon in Aquarius today, and I'm wondering how you're feeling. Just in general. Even if you don't really know like your astrology, if you do, even better. If you don't, that's okay. But there's just, there's a lot of stuff happening in Aquarius right now. And even more is going to be happening, I think, even over the next week. And then there's also these squares that are going on with a couple different planets. And it's a lot of cosmos. I was going to say cosmetic. That's not it. But just, maybe it is. Is it? A lot of energy going on in the cosmos is what I'm trying to say. So I personally have been just absolutely drained this week, like the whole week. And today was definitely no exception. I actually woke up to my laptop being completely dead this morning, which it was not dead at all when I went to sleep last night. I mean, it was probably at like maybe 90%. So I don't know what sucked the life out of it overnight, but same. Like, it's just so interesting, but anyway, definitely give yourself grace and kind of go with the flow as much as you can the next week or so. I think I almost said after Thanksgiving. After Valentine's Day, like after the 14th is when things should start at least like breaking up a little bit as far as like being right on top of each other or squaring different things. But I also heard through basically like May, the middle of May, most of these planets are going to be clustered together, going through like Aquarius through, I think it's Taurus. But you know, like they're all going to be kind of clustered in those signs through May, and then they'll break up even more. So anyway, lots of transformation, lots of energy available to work with, just, you know, to be aware of. And I'm waiting for one oracle card to come out. We've had, you know, like 2 or 3 that's come out together, or all of them. Like there's a message in every single one of them for you. How much time do you have? So anyway, thank you so much for being here. Let's see. Let's get one oracle card. There we go. We have meditation for clarity. You're going to see me do this a lot. I'm not sure if the camera up here is auto-focusing or not, and my OCD can't handle it not focusing and being blurry, so that's why I'm getting my shoulder exercises in, why you'll see that. It's so interesting. My first attention was drawn to the reflection, and this is a card of meditation for clarity, and that reflection is not clear at all. So it's interesting because, you know, especially being that conscious fifth line, right? Like, has there been, are you in a projection that is negative, or has been, or because I think, you know, the journey of a fifth line, right? Like we have the 5 of Wands that came out. You know, there's been, I'm a 5-1, like I mentioned at the beginning of in the intro, right? And I can't even tell you how many people have tried to tell me who I am. But it was based on a projection, and it was basically like them. I remember one time, an ex literally yelling at me, and I said, "Am I a mirror? Because literally everything that you just said is you. Like, it's not me." So, you know, like we do have that projection of like people are going to perceive us however they perceive themselves. And unfortunately, a lot of people have negative perceptions of themselves, or just unresolved stuff that can just be kind of dumped onto you. And without the awareness of the projection, even with the awareness of the projection, because it's never fun to be in that place or that energy, you know. So anyway, without the awareness of the fifth line, you know, it could be like, oh my gosh, like, who am I? Right? Like, yeah, it's interesting because we have the 5 of Wands, we have the 10 of Swords coming out, we have this meditation for clarity. Things are not clear at all. It could be, you know, like that saying, clear as mud, right? And both of these cards have other people in them. So again, you know, it's like, I know part of the frustration that I've also felt through my journey is that we have the 7 of Wands, the 7 of Cups, Temperance, is that, you know, you feel like you're being so clear, right? You're trying your best to communicate things, and still people are just not going to see that. That is one of the, it's interesting because it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like, it's one of the downfalls or like the negative of having the fifth line, because people, even in my experience, okay, right? Like, and let me know if you've had this experience too, but people who I thought knew me very well will eventually perceive me in a way, like they'll say something out loud and I'm like, where did that come from? Like, what? Even my mom, I'm pretty close to my mom, and she got it in her head that I don't like driving. And I ended up having to go home for a few days after Thanksgiving because my dad was in the hospital. And I had another family member that was in town at the same time. So I was going to go pick them up. And my mom was telling this family member that I don't like driving. And I was like, what are you I love driving. Like, I don't like driving at night anymore because I'm old. I'm geriatric. I can't see. But, I mean, I can see, but but driving, I don't mind at all. But it, like, she said it probably a handful of times before I was like, where did you get this idea that I don't like driving? Like, she's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay. Let me make sure that everything is in frame, and then we'll start talking. I want to read about this card too. We'll start talking about it. Okay. I keep this little space right here because that's where my face will live, hopefully. So yeah, anyway, it's just, Also, okay, but that's the other thing, right? Okay, so there's the quote unquote like negative side of the fifth line where, it does suck because a lot of people, majority of people are not going to see us correctly or at all, right? Which is kind of depressing. But on the other side of things, right? Like, it's almost like, and this is just something that I've been thinking about recently. I'm not even sure how I feel about it yet. But what is this? Meditation for clarity. It's almost like an invisibility cloak. Like, if people aren't going to perceive you correctly anyway, because of the projection that comes along with the fifth line, right? It's like, you might as well just do whatever you want to do anyway. Communicate as best as you can. What is this? Obviously, where am I just missing it? Let me focus for a second because there we go. Number 40. Obviously, don't hurt anybody in the process, and obviously do high vibe things, blah blah blah. Disclaimer, 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 right? Don't be a jerk. But it is like kind of just like an opportunity to just literally try anything, because either way, like, there's either going to be a positive or a negative projection. And as long as you are remaining in your own integrity, I don't know. Like I said, it's something that like just kind of came to my mind recently, because I feel like I get stuck a little bit in the paranoia that comes along with the fifth line too, of like, just, like, it takes a lot of energy to be perceived incorrectly, and it fucking sucks. But and also even just the paranoia of like, what are other people's intentions? What do you want? Like, right? Anyway, okay. So it says, it can be hard for us to see things clearly, and the closer we are to them, the harder it can be. This is especially true when we are looking at ourselves or an important issue that affects our lives. When strong emotion is involved, that makes it even tougher. But that doesn't mean it is impossible, just that we have to make a special effort to reach for clarity. Exactly. Like, again, if there is a situation that you're dealing with, especially if it is other people, because there's a lot of other people in these cards, then there is this opportunity for you to get clear on your position of things. And also, even too, like an opportunity to ask more questions to gain more clarity. I love that there's a sage in here because it's like cleansing energy, right? Just even like setting the intention to get the muck out of the air. I even love in this card that they are looking at themselves because truly, right? I mean, looking within ourselves first. I think a lot of people have a hard time doing that. So again, they just project out even without the fifth line thing, just, the inability to accept accountability type of thing. So the good news is though, it seems like we're working through this energy here though, because so I don't even think I said all the cards. We have the 5 of Wands, the 10 of Swords, 7 of Wands, 7 of Cups, Temperance, and the World, and then the 10 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So we're working through things, right? Like it gets a little bit better as we move through the reading. So let's just start at the beginning with the 5 of Wands. And wands have to do with action. It's trying things, right? It's the motivation behind the actions that we take. It's fire. So it's, the fire energy that comes along with that. Putting energy into something, igniting something. It's also creativity and passion. How are you communicating those things? What steps are you taking towards those things? And 5s are transitionary energy. So they're not anything to like pitch a tent and get stuck in. But unfortunately, we do have to go through change and growth. And sometimes that can come with conflict. Sometimes that's uncomfortable. And the 5 of Wands specifically deals with that conflict. There's even some competition that can be wrapped in there. I mean, we have these 5 witches standing around this cauldron, and it's like there's too many cooks and not enough chefs or something. I don't want to use the other analogy, but like there's too many opinions, but nobody's listening to each other type of thing, right? And usually when that happens, it's because we're not feeling heard anyway, whether it's in this conversation or we're projecting that we're never heard anyway, and the only way to be heard is to like argue or be in confrontation, right? So the 5 of Wands does deal, it's a little bit of a shit show, but also the 5 of Wands is about like training and conditioning, because it is like the 5, or excuse me, the card that comes after the 5 of Wands is the 6 of Wands, and that's victory after conflict. So granted, I know that we don't have the 6 of Wands out on the table, but I always think of Mulan with the 5 of Wands. And I keep like seeing, and this was happening in the 5-1 reading too, but I keep seeing these like flashes out the window, and I'm like, they keep throwing me off, whatever they are. Anyway, so Mulan, right? Like they go to this warrior training. Everybody is in their ego. Everybody is, it's like competition all over the place, right? Nobody's listening to the other person. Nobody's listening to anybody, right? And the prince or whoever he is like, how am I going to turn these people into warriors that are like ready to go into battle? And eventually things change, right? But it's also like through that confrontation, through that competition, there was somehow like camaraderie that was found, right? Like, but also somebody rose to be a leader, and that was Mulan, right? Because she's the one that kind of changes the whole vibe. She like climbs up that pole and gets the arrow or whatever it is, and after that, people are on board. They're ready to make changes and do the thing, right? So my long-winded thing with the Five of Wands, there's a lot of information to be found in conflict. This even came up with a friend of mine too. She was in a confrontation with somebody that she worked with, and we were having this conversation. I was saying, like, it sucks to be in confrontation. It sucks to be the person being confronted. It sucks being the person confronting. But also you learn a lot from that. You learn, like what your relationship is in this conflict, right? You learn, like, if the other person is willing to hear you out, if they're willing to understand your position or not, right? And even too, it's like a growth opportunity for you to also open yourself up for understanding, like understanding the other person's perspective. If you're the one being confronted, why are they confronting you, right? Asking questions, getting more clarity. Interesting. So it's paired with the Seven of Cups. And cups have to do with our emotions. How are we feeling about things, right? And the Seven of Cups, there's all of these different options in front of them, right? And there's a couple different ways that this could go. This could be a bit daydreamy, like head in the clouds type of thing. This could even be like imagining the possibilities here. It could be having too many options and feeling overwhelmed by it. And maybe that's even part of the problem with the Five of Wands. Like, whatever it is, like, maybe it's like there is an opportunity to simplify whatever it is, and that would get more people on board, or that would kind of bring that camaraderie. Is that the right word? I feel like that's not even the right word anymore. I mean, even the cats are fighting on the Five of Wands. So it's like, and it's interesting that on the Five of Wands, there's five witches, right? On the Seven of Cups, there's one. And then there's, whoever, I'm assuming this is like an employee that works at wherever this place is. So it's kind of like somebody, which is probably going to have to be maybe you, since, I mean, this is your reading, right? I mean, obviously it can be somebody else, and this might just be a thing saying this is how it's going to end up finding resolution. But somebody needs to make a decision. And also too, the Seven of Cups, like I always think of the Marie Kondo effect, because when you are going through the Seven Cups, when you are deciding which cups are right for you, it's what are the ones that make me feel good? And what are the ones that don't, right? Like, start there. What makes me feel good? What doesn't? The ones that don't make you feel good, shelve them for the time being. It doesn't necessarily have to be forever, but just for the time being, put them on the shelf. Take them out of the equation. And then from the ones that do make you feel good, again, do that again. Like, what's prioritize whatever is left. So it does feel somebody is going to have to make a decision. And the decision feels like it's going to have to be narrowing down options. However this looks like for you, of course, right? I mean, it could be work, it could be relationship, it could be whatever, right? And then we have the Ten of Swords. And tens are completion. It is the end of a cycle, basically, like in that suit, because after that you would go back to the Ace. So swords have to do with our minds, its ideas, thoughts, how we perceive our realities, truth, honesty, but like divine truth, divine honesty. I also see swords as being the card of ego, because that's generally where we hear our ego is in our minds. And our ego is created by the stories that we attach to experiences, that we attach to feelings. Whether they're our stories or not. Maybe somebody told us we were a certain way and we accepted that as a truth about ourselves at the time, and it became part of our identity or personality. And whether they're true or not, did I say that? Anyway, so like I said, I also see swords as being ego, because then it becomes also the reason why you do things and why you don't do other things. So when we get to the 10, there is a completion. And again, in this card, there are two people. One of them has 10 swords sticking out of their back. The other one is fleeing. So it's almost kind of like, and even this cat is pissed, right? So they might be wounded, right? But they're not completely done. And also whatever the situation is between the 5 of Wands and the 7 of Cups, it feels like I'm like getting this image that when this decision is made, the person who's causing all of this trouble and the 5 of Wands is going to leave. It may not be pretty. They might not, they might go out like a lion instead of a cat. Like, it might not be pretty. Not that you're like in any danger or anything like that. I don't want to say that, but like, they might just make their thoughts known. But whatever it is though, it seems like they are exiting, because somebody is exiting on this card. So, which is great. It just is unfortunate sometimes that this is what it takes in order to get to this place. But it's also, again, it is done though after that. So just getting through it. And then again, right, things change after this 10 of Swords. So that's good, because we move down to Temperance. I just keep hearing in my head, this is a long time coming. But Temperance, I don't know why I thought this card was a Hierophant at first. Did I say Temperance at the beginning? I don't even know. But I originally thought it was a Hierophant. And on the Hierophant, they're also doing yoga. So that's probably why I was confusing the two. I don't know what I said, though, at the beginning when I was saying all the cards out loud, but it is Temperance. And Temperance is all about alchemy. I think about chocolate. It's so funny. Like, the majority of these cards that are coming out, I have like an analogy or whatever for. Like, that is so funny. But I do think about chocolate. My little Taurus son thinks about chocolate. And there are certain steps that you have to go through in order to temper chocolate correctly, right? And if you rush through steps, if you skip steps, then it's not going to temper correctly. It's ruined. You have to start over from scratch, right? And that's what Temperance is. There's a patience quality that comes with Temperance. There's also a requirement for determination, because it does take time for energies to blend, right? It takes time to turn something into another thing, right? So there is this determination, this commitment aspect that comes along with Temperance. And I love how it's like there seems to be this kind of impatience quality that's actually coming through with it, because here they are holding tree pose, right? I believe that's tree. And it kind of, they appear to be, kind of zenned out a little bit, but they have one eye open. Like, just, I don't want to miss anything, right? This, this whole situation with the 10 of Swords could even create a feeling in you where you feel like you have to keep one eye open, because that, that part kind of feels like a warning. But I think that just kind of came through, like, after I focused on the one eye thing. It says, strive for balance in all things. It is tree pose. Ha! I haven't done yoga, I think, in like 2 years. Anyway, there's some space around her, but to one side, there is a tray of cupcakes on it, a martini glass, and an open laptop. To the other side is a plate with a bunch of carrots, complete with leafy greens, a clear glass full of water with a slice of lemon on it, and a book. A small black kitten is licking frosting off of one paw over by the cupcakes. The feeling of the card is lighthearted yet perfectly balanced. How do you achieve balance in life? Our temperance witch would probably say moderation in all things, including moderation, and then smile that angelic smile because she has managed to achieve what for most of us is simply impossible. That doesn't mean we can't try, though. Striving for perfect balance is a never-ending task that requires both discipline and calm, along with the ability to go with the flow while staying rooted. We never said it was easy, did we? Yeah. Balance. And really, like, there could be a lot of expectation on you right now, too. And with this Ten of Swords, like, if you have a lot on your plate, if you have a lot of plates that you're spinning, right, to use another analogy, there might just be a point where you can't keep all of the plates spinning and they start falling, and then people start getting pissed, right? But also, it's like, how much of that pressure and expectation, it's like creating boundaries is really what I'm getting at. Because if we just keep saying yes to things, but we know our plates are already full, but we also know like we have the capacity, but maybe not the time, maybe not the energy, right? But we just keep saying yes because maybe that's what people expect us to do and to say, then it throws us out of balance and eventually all your plates fall. So, it's interesting because this is like I said, this is the point where it changes. And maybe you are at a point where you are, getting clear on your boundaries, on who you are, where you stand in the areas of your life that are affected by this. And especially with temperance, like having to intentionally create that balance, that moderation, right? Like learning how to do that and what works for you, because then we move on to the Seven of Wands. And the Seven of Wands is having to stand your ground and being a bit defensive over the actions that you're taking. And I always see the other 6 wands down here that are being pointed at this witch here. I always see those as other people's projections, other people's doubts, their fears, their reasons not to, their reasons to do, right? Like their expectations, their pressure, their whatever the projection is, right? And then you're having to stand there, or whoever this witch is, right? But having to stand there and defend yourself for one, but also like, I didn't ask you what your doubts were. I didn't ask you why you would or wouldn't do a thing. Like, I didn't even know you had this expectation of me anyway, right? So, but by creating this boundary here, whatever is happening in this Temperance card, there's going to be a period of time where you are going to have to defend that. And that, that comes with setting new boundaries anyway, because boundaries are for us, right? They're not for other people. And if other people are used to crossing over your boundaries, not honoring your boundaries, if they're used to you not even having any boundaries, then for a little while, you are going to have to repeat those things to those people. And some of them might fall off. Some of them might not, right? It's part of the process. And also it's for your own good. And then we have the World card here, which is the end of a cycle. So I love that we start with the Five of Wands, and I love that I don't love that we start with the Five of Wands. What I meant to say is that I love that we end with the World when we started with the Five of Wands, because the World is the end of a cycle. Something is coming to an end. There is this graduation thing happening in this card. And I just get that by the way that they're throwing up their hat, but it's almost like you have more time for yourself. You have more time to enjoy the things that you want to do. This could even be part of the balance, the boundary, finding some you time. Even, like I was saying with the graduation thing, right? Like, just because we graduate school doesn't mean like it's done, right? So we're just done with that aspect of study. And now it's okay, I need to get a job. I need to find a place to live, right? Like if you've been living at the school. So it's going from one thing to the next progression of the thing. So again, there is this progression that's happening where a way of being is coming to an end and a new way of being is starting. And I love that we have the Ten of Cups at the bottom of the deck, because the Ten of Cups is the minor arcana card to the Sun card. And it's joy, it's bliss. I love that even it has a relaxing quality to it, because they're just having a picnic by the river, right? And there is a sense of community and family. All of these cups have liquid in them, right? So everybody feels purposeful. Everyone feels fulfilled. It's like, again, this balance creates more harmony in your life, but also in your relationships. And again, there are people that are probably going to be exiting in some capacity, because the Five of Cups talks about loss. It's mourning these three cups here, but also remembering there's still these two cups here. So all is not lost. Definitely, mourn that, but don't forget about this, right? Like, don't forget that there's still two cups. There's still possibilities, basically, because I lost my train of thought. And then we have the Lovers card, making connections. I mean, it could be romantic, it could be business, it could be platonic, but even the camaraderie thing that I was like saying before, everybody's on the same page, because the Lovers card also talks about the balance, pointing out this Temperance card, but the balance between the masculine and feminine energies, having a balance of both, not gender related, but the feminine receiving and intuition going with the flow, with the masculine of giving and initiating, right? So there's this balance that happens between the two. Maybe you are making connections, whatever connections that are still around are very much in alignment with you, and they honor your boundaries, they honor your relationship. I love that. All of a sudden I like got this feeling like you're done. Okay, so thank you so much for allowing me to read your cards. I will talk to you soon.